Yes, guys, how's it going? Back again, Spurs related. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's not melting too much in this 30-degree British heat that everyone thinks is about 50. It does feel quite hot, but we have a lot to talk. Well, I say we've got a lot to talk about. We've got quite a bit to catch up on. All things transfers. I know you guys like these transfers updates, guys. We actually did a video on Morgan Gibbs-White and his tactical analysis on how he fits into Tottenham. So go and check that out after this live stream if you want more in-depth analysis about where he fits into the Thomas Frank system. As always, keep supporting the channel, please, guys. Keep smashing that thumbs up. Helps us grow. Keep subscribing. Keep turning the noti bells on. Like Stu clearly has, always in here first. Stu, appreciate it. Keep getting the support in, guys. But as I said, I only plugged the channel twice per video. So I've got alongside me Frank, as always, regular, and I've got Johnny H 3232 at Talking Tottenham on Instagram if you want some more funny content that's borderline that probably gets me cancelled if I collab with him. But we'll start off with Frank. Frank, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good. It's, I say it every time, but it feels like it's never a quiet, dull 24 hours with Tottenham. So quite a lot to talk about as per, and I'm excited.
Absolutely, yeah. We got a few bits to talk about. Adam Wharton, Morgan Gibbs-White, and a few other links, as well as talking about more stuff to do with the academy, which I know Johnny likes. And talking to Johnny, how you doing, mate? With that, is that Marshmallow Hat? You know that artist? What you got going on there?
Yeah, no, I actually it was sent to me by someone on. They sent me a couple of hats. One I wore yesterday, and the one I wore yesterday, I think it said. Hang on, one second.
Oh, look, it's all busy. It's probably Daniel Levy at his door. But guys,
this is
as
perfect.
I say, we're getting into things. We're talking about.
There you go. This is perfect for a Spurs fan.
Good things take time. Well,
there you go, and that's us. That's Tottenham for you, and hopefully the time it's taken to actually bring in some money and start spending was worth the wait, right?
Absolutely. We're talking investment. We're talking stadium naming rights as well today. I know Johnny's favourite subject is talking about the finances and everything that goes along with it. Big up to Zach, who's in the house. Big up to Stephen, who's in the house, and big up to Stu. And if you're watching on Facebook, get over to YouTube because it's just, we love the sport on Facebook. We love the sport on Instagram. We love the sport everywhere. But YouTube's the one we're really trying to get going because we're trying to do more regular streams and member shows over there when we get to that point. So please do head over to SpursRelated YouTube. But enough of the plug-in, enough talking about hats, enough talking about what we're going to be talking about. Let's talk about it. So first things first, Romero update. Feel like we talk about this guy every single day, but it is a positive update, and that it is that Romero will not join Atletico Madrid, according to Fabrizio Romano on his YouTube channel. He's expected to stay at Spurs unless there is a surprise. Well, okay, not definite, but Spurs do like to do surprises. But apparently, that Romero there hasn't been a bid for him. There hasn't been any personal terms agreed. There hasn't even been a contact, apparently. So very interesting stuff. Atletico apparently never sent an official proposal to Tottenham, nor did they present personal terms to the player. So very interesting, contrasting points there, that there was many sources saying that actually Romero was very tempted by Atletico. Atletico were preparing a bid in the region of 50, 60 million pounds. That is all not true, according to Fabrizio Romano. I take his word for it. Frank, what do you think, mate? Is it obviously it's good news, but do you think that we're definitely certain to keep Christian Romero now?
I think for now, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's many clubs in the world that I think football's a funny sport right now. Where I don't think there's many clubs in the world that need a centre half and then actually have the money to probably pay what's needed to bring him there. And so Atletico were probably one of the few options this summer. I think would have been one that probably would have happened. But now that's not. I think he'll probably stay, and that's brilliant. It's like really, really big news because as that comment says, he's a winner, he's a leader, and Spurs, if they want to be successful, need to have more of those. And I said before, I don't think we have enough leaders in that team sometimes. That at times. I think I look at us and we can be a little bit spineless at times. And I think he's one that when the going gets tough, he's there and he drags you forward. So it's a big thing that he's staying. I would mean it'd be incredible if he signed a new contract. I wouldn't put my house on it, but I'd like to hope it happens.
Yeah, I was going to say that's definitely far from a dead cert. Cantab saying Romero's staying. It's definitely more likely than he's not staying. Fabrizio Romano, here's the update, Cantab, just in case you missed it, is that Fabrizio Romano is saying that Romero should... Spurs are expected not to be selling Romero. Apparently, Atletico never sent an official proposal, nor did they present personal terms. So therefore, some of the sources that are saying stuff was agreed is completely untrue. And that is good news indeed. When do you think Gibbs-White deal will be done? We'll update you in just a second, Riser. Appreciate you coming in here as well. Guys, I can't believe I'm saying this. There's already 100 of you in the house just on YouTube. Appreciate all the support. I mean, it's absolutely boiling outside and you guys are coming in your numbers. Absolutely love to see it. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Christ, I'm out of my 2 plugs per video. I'm in trouble here, guys. But let's get Johnny involved. Johnny, how are you doing, mate? And also, what's your thoughts on the Romero news? Are you buzzing that he should be sticking around?
I'll be honest with you. I never listened to any of the BS twerking that was coming out of Atletico Madrid. I mean, it's funny that all of the news was coming out of Argentinian newspapers. I wonder how that got there. Simeone being Argentinian, you didn't need to put 1 and 1 together to come up to. Doesn't need any super sleuth to work out what's happening. They're just trying to unsettle him. I never believed the word of it. Look, the fact of the matter is that he's a winner. He has ambition and he just wants to win. And I don't think he feels, and I don't feel that Spurs have matched his ambitions and his desire to win and be successful. We don't match it. You know, what have we done? We've sold Harry Kane, we've sold players, and we haven't. Our signings have been underwhelming on the whole. So for him, you can understand it. 2 times Copa America winner, 1 times World Cup winner, team of the tournament, player of the season, Serie A, player of the tournament in the Europa League. Don't need to say more. All those that doubt him just don't understand it. I think it's born out of frustration, if I'm perfectly honest. I think he will... I never thought he would go. And I honestly think that having seen the amount of money that's being spent and the level of player that's potentially coming in, we've seen that we've got 2 coming in. If there's more, then yes, there is a possibility that with if Son was to go, that he could be cajoled into potentially signing a contract or a contract extension with a buyout clause. The only 2 teams that I can see enticing him out, there's 2. One's Liverpool because they need another centre-back, and the other one's Real Madrid. Anyone who watched Real Madrid get absolutely dismantled by PSG with Rudiger and Asensio at the back there, it was embarrassing how bad they were. And if it hadn't been for Courtois making some point-blank saves, it would have been even more embarrassing than the 5-0 already was. So maybe Real Madrid would have an eye on him. And when it comes to ambition, as much ambition we have, we wouldn't be able to match them. And Liverpool desperately needing a player at the back there because they've sold Quansah to buy Leverkusen, and all they have now is the 2 centre-backs, really. They've got Gomez, but they've got Konate, who's got 1 year left and could be leaving, and Virgil van Dijk. Any injury to those centre-backs, and I think they're in trouble. So I can't see him leaving, and it's up to Thomas Frank to make him believe that this is a project worth staying around for and sign a new contract. I think it's a lot more possible now with the new manager, the signings and the money coming in.
100%. Just to go on what you just said at the end, Johnny, coming back to you very quickly, do you think the whole investment situation and the fact that it looks like we're going to have some serious backing now, should that be all, well, it seems like it's confirmed, but actually official, do you think that that plays a big part, and maybe Romero's had a chat with Frank and chat with the board potentially about signing a lot more players and making this a realistic prospect of winning the Premier League, the Champions League? Do you think that's played a part? Also, we've got Donna Cullen in here, so they're saying Wagwan to everyone. I don't think that's a sort of a lingo, but yeah, thanks for coming in, So Donna
is often heard shout Wagwan. What was I going to say to you? Look, I believe they had meetings with Cuti Romero last season with the offer of making him a captain. Look, he's been promised the captaincy of Argentina after Messi retires. So I'm not quite understanding why a vast number, maybe not the majority, but a vast number of Spurs fans will be quite happy to see him go if we pay 70 million, and they don't think he should be captain because he said stuff. Players say stuff all the time. He just wants to be a winner, right? He's never lost the final, okay? And he was probably our best player in the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final overall. So let's hope he stays, huh? Let's hope he stays, because Spurs are a better team, whatever your opinion is, really, on the whole. When it comes to the big games, when it comes to those Champions League games, he's the guy I want on my team.
100%. Big Champions League games to come, big FA Cup games to come, hopefully in the latter stages. And you want someone with a bit more experience like a Cuti Romero coming into the prime of his career, and you want that spine in the team. Frank, do you think that, you know, as I was just implying to about the investment, about the project, do you think that Romero is on board now? And do you think that we can see, hopefully, you know, a spine coming in the sense of Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously Kudus, but then more of a number 6, and Romero makes up that spine as well with Van der Ven and the other sort of statues in the club?
Yeah, I think so. I think if the investment is there, or as we said yesterday, has been completed by this point, because there's a good chance that it's done already, I think. If it's done or is being done, and you know, there's whispers around the club and this and that, you know, I think one of the first things they'll do will be talk to Christian Romero and try and give him a new contract. I mean, if that's your first move as a new set of owners, you come in and you spend, you know, 200 million on Kudus, Gibbs-White, and whoever, whatever, and you go and sign Christian Romero on a new contract. I mean, you excite people, and then that will be their main goal at the start. And I think, I mean, as Johnny said, Romero was all about having ambition and wanting to be successful and wanting to win, and it's never been something against Tottenham. It's been against the way that they've gone about things, I think. And so that's you know, that's kind of the deciding factor, I think. If the investment is there, then I think then I think Romero will actually stay, and will stay longer term, because I think Tottenham will be competing, because they're in a position where, like, the new owners don't have to come in and improve the stadium or improve the training facilities. It can all go into the team there straight away. That it should allow Tottenham to be competitive and you know, challenge. So I think Christian Romero will stay as a result of that.
Love it. Yeah, no, I agree with what both of you are saying here. I think it's almost like a new signing in the sense that if we're keeping Romero, you know, we don't have to worry about replacing him with a big name centre back, with a Mark Guehi, with a Hincapié like Johnny likes. You know, we can actually focus on all our efforts now onto securing Morgan Gibbs-White, of course, but focusing on more of a number 6, perhaps a second striker, perhaps a left back, and so on. We will move the subject on to talk more about Adam Wharton, because I know there's a queue of people waiting to hear about Adam Wharton. And although it's not, you know, tier 1 concrete news, there is murmurs, there is talk that we do want the player. We're obviously interested FC. And guys, I can't believe I'm saying this. There's 220 of you watching live. I think that's our record for absolutely years and months, probably. So really do appreciate everyone tuning in on this boiling hot day. If you could all do me 3 favors, I promise I won't plug it anymore. Smash like, smash subscribe, and also smash notification bells on, so you never miss us going live and you never miss a video. And we did do, for those who've just joined, a tactical analysis about Morgan Gibbs-White and how he fits into the Thomas Frank system earlier. So let us know what you think on that video, and let us know if you agree with our thoughts. But let's talk more about Morgan Gibbs-White, because I know that is the talk of the town, as well as Adam Wharton, because we want to come on to that. Guys, keep whacking your comments in on the live chat. I do see them. I'm going to bring up some of them in just a minute. But the latest is the imminent Tottenham Hotspur signing. Morgan Gibbs-White is not in Nottingham Forest squad for their pre-season friendly today against Chesterfield. The England international is waiting to complete a move to Spurs. Frank, I know that you identified this one. It's huge, huge news. I mean, it obviously means that things are progressing. The legal action is still going to be taking place. Nottingham Forest owner who's just about dried his tears after having a little paddy and a little meltdown. He hasn't got his star player in the squad today in the pre-season. Is that because he wouldn't be playing anyway? Maybe we're reading into it too much. But what do you think on that, mate?
I think it's done, to be honest with you. And I'm not going to pretend I know anything or whatever, but I think it's done. I think, as that comment says, it's all just kind of hot air from Forest. I think it's one last hurrah to almost show that they care, and they're really sad to be losing their key player. Their fans had such an outburst about it, and all of a sudden they allowed the medical, they allowed all this to go ahead, and then the very last minute they go, actually, we don't fancy this anymore. So I think it's just a complete waste of time from Forest. I think it will still happen. I think it's going to delay it, certainly. It might not happen until next week or whatever, but I think it's a matter of when as opposed to if, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. When, not if. Johnny, got this question here, not a question, but a point from Sci-Fi Monkey, love the name, saying Spurs need to get the business done quick because there may be a transfer ban incoming if found guilty. Surely not, mate, right?
Oh my God, it's like drama. Coronation Street, EastEnders. Guys, chill out. This stuff happens. This stuff's been happening in football since time immortal. I mean, who do you think? Hey, hang on a second, right? Guys, you're Spurs fans. Yeah? Do you remember Harry Kane? How long were Bayern Munich twerking in public for Harry Kane? How long did they say, oh, we'd like Harry Kane, we want Harry Kane? Hang on, he's a Spurs player. We haven't given you permission to talk to him, but you're talking to him via the press. What happened with Luka Modric? What happened with Gareth Bale? It happens all the time. The guy's got sour grapes. It is what it is, mate. It is. He's still smarting from the fact that his Nottingham Forest fell apart and didn't make the Champions League. And he's bloody lucky because had they made the Champions League, he actually hadn't transferred himself out of the ownership of Nottingham Forest in time. He didn't do his until mid-end April, which would have meant had he qualified for the Champions League under normal senses, he would have been thrown out because his other team, Olympiacos, were already in. So, he needs to just rein it in, go have another meal and relax himself because he's there and he's going to be... I can't see anything stopping Gibbs-White coming. I can't see anything. I can't see anything he's done. I would not be surprised if he's been resting up at the lodge, at Spurs Lodge training ground, out of sight, nice 6-star hotel. He'll be having the full catering service and waiting for the green light. Why should he be at Chesterfield today? Absolutely no reason whatsoever. Look, I would say one thing about Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't think he's anywhere near the finished article. He's got lots of plus points, but he's got lots of things that he needs to improve, in my opinion. His shooting's not good enough. He carries the ball sometimes too far, and he's fantastic, got fantastic feet. But sometimes he over-elaborates with the passing when a simple pass sometimes will do. I think Thomas Frank will get the most out of him. He's over that age where he's got loads of room for improvement, and I think he can score more. I still see him more as an 8 than a 10, but we shall see where he's. I don't know. What did you think, Frank? Did you think more of an 8 or more of a 10?
Gibbs-White. Yeah, I think more of an 8. To be honest with you, I think he's kind of he can play that 10 role, and I have no. I mean, he will play that 10 role, I'm sure at times, but I'm pretty convinced that. I mean, he grew up playing as a 6, I think. So I think he's one that is gonna work in because he's able to play these different roles. And Thomas Frank likes these guys that can switch up for him when he needs to be. I think he'll suit it perfectly, actually.
I mean, what Chinwag Spurs are saying is absolutely right. He's the guy that's running from 1 minute from the first minute to the 91st minute. He just never stops running, and that's the perfect player for Thomas Frank. I'm not wishing to come down on players like Brennan Johnson, Backdoor Johnson, but, you can't just score a goal and go missing AWOL in Thomas Frank's system. You have to learn to work. We saw PSG, that press high to win back the ball, a bit like the old Pep Guardiola Barcelona team. Once they lost it, they just hound you until they win the ball back. I think we might see a bit of that under Thomas Frank with the type of players that he's signing there with Kudus, Tell, and Morgan's Gibbs-White, where they're press, and try and win that ball back. It's exciting. Listen, it's exciting times. I do think we will sign him. There's a couple of people. The news today that Basuma's probably going to refuse to leave doesn't really surprise me with his character. But what do? Do you stick him? Do you give him a balloon and tell him to go and play with the under-21s, or do you just leave him sat there?
Don't give him any balloons, mate. That's what I'm saying.
I know. I mean, what is he? Fifth choice? Would he be fifth choice with these players coming in now?
Well, depends if we get any more coming in, right? It depends if an Adam Wharton does come in. But I know there's a lot of people queuing up to talk about Adam Wharton. So let's go on to the subject, guys. I know I said I'd plug it twice, but with 350 of you watching on YouTube is crazy numbers. Please do 3 things for me if you're enjoying. Smash like, smash subscribe, and smash the notification bell if you want to see the videos get alerted to you straight away. We've got Donna Cullen chatting all sorts of things in the chat. There's all sorts going on today. It's kind of crazy. Football Fortnite Kid says, show my comment. I've just shown it. He's saying Tottenham are actually daring to do. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, spot on. Guys, keep whacking your comments in and keep, like I said, smashing that like button, smashing that subscribe. All free to do so. And we'll plug Johnny's channel in a minute. But, guys, while there's still 400 of you watching, let's talk about Adam Wharton, because the latest, as per Give Me Sport, and a few other tier 2, 3 sources, so not tier 1, not Fabrizio Romano, not Alistair Gold, but according to some sources written by Danny Rust, this one, and Dean Jones, Tottenham Hotspur have identified Adam Wharton as a target after boss Thomas Frank has been given the go-ahead to splash this cash. And I know Johnny is a massive fan of Adam Wharton, so I'm going to come to him first on this one. Everyone's going nuts, saying sign him up. Where are you at with this, Johnny?
Look, so the November before Dougie Freeman signed him for Crystal Palace, I was saying, look, we need to sign this guy. We need to sign this guy. I was also interested in Archie Gray. I thought Archie Gray would stand out after watching him, that Chelsea game in the Cup where he's played, as a 6. And when they said to me they wanted 40 million plus Joe Rodon plus bonuses, I thought, well, that's done. We got to go and get Adam Wharton. Dougie Freeman doesn't waste any time. Bought him for 20 million plus, I think, 2 or 3 million add-ons. I knew he was a talent. Even I didn't think he would progress at the pace that he progressed to make the England squad that summer. He's had a few injuries, but, those sort of growing pains, body changing at a young age and playing football. But this guy is fantastic. Saying that, he has lots and lots of improvement to make. He's, again, not the finished article. And this is what I really like about Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank loves raw, rough diamonds that he can polish up and turn into something special. And Adam Wharton wins the ball back really, really quickly, really aggressive in the tackle, and delivers the ball quick, doesn't mess about, right? None of this holding on the ball, 5, 6 touches, win the ball, bang, right? Sometimes very aggressively pushing it forward. Some of our Tottenham strikers and forwards probably would have trouble holding on to the ball. He's so aggressive passing it. But I think with the signings we're making now, that won't be a problem. If you look on the FFB refs, there are loads of apparent weaknesses that he has in his game. But his strengths for the position that he will be playing at is all that matters at this stage. And that's winning the ball, delivering it the ball, and reading the play. With Thomas Frank, as I said, liking to press up with triangles on the 2 flanks, it's very important that the 6 is there to read and intercept, read the play and intercept, and cut out any moves before they really happen. For me, without doubt, should be the number 1 target. The problem we have, let's be serious, £70 million is way over the odds. He's not worth £70 million.
You think? Do you think though, based on English tax
No,
and based
I'm
on the
sorry.
fact he's
We've lost the plot, right? 70 million, I think, for his age.
Yeah, but Johnny, I get. No, listen, mate, I get your point. I do get your point, but the fact that he's young, the fact that his ceiling is high, and like you said, he's got development. He's one of Crystal Palace's most important players. There's Premier League tax there. There's English tax. You got the homegrown tax. Don't you think that? I understand you think it's a lot, and I agree. But don't you think that in this current market, it's probably 50, 60, 70 million is kind of what you're going to have to pay if you're going to take the risk on someone like this?
60 million, 55, 60 million is the new 30 million almost, it seems. But, you know, I'm looking at it in comparison. I just, what's that?
Sorry, I had to bring up. I've ruined the whole flow of the conversation here. I mean, there is some interesting accounts.
Yeah, Shirley the tea lady. I remember. I've got a picture of that. I used that on my account. Sorry, that's completely.
Sorry, I've completely lost the plot. Adam Wharton.
There was Adam Wharton. Look, I don't mind paying 60 million plus add-ons. You know, I don't mind doing that. But you know, if you're paying 70 million, you're never ever going to see a return on that, even for his age. You know, I don't mind sort of 60 million plus a sort of a Daniel Levy special add-on, like 5 million for maybe winning the Davis Cup. 10 million for winning the boat race, something like that. Yeah, but no, I think 60 million is the number. But you know, every number is 70 million. Mark Gahey, they want 70 million. Listen, Spurs are asking. Let's put this in context. Spurs were reportedly to be asking for 60 million pound for Cuti Romero. Okay, World Cup winner, 2 times Copa America winner. You know, let's be honest. There's pedigree and there's reality, and I love the player. I really do love him, and I would love to have him, but I just I don't know. I think 60 million plus add-ons is more than fair, but I reckon he might be asking for more. I've suggested that Spurs Nepal, Basuma, and 40 million. And
he'd go well into Palace, I think.
And some helium.
He'd work hard there. He'd probably, I think he'd do well at Palace.
Well, he said he would. He said he'd prefer to stay in the Premier League. So maybe that is the answer. It's one I suggested, or we suggested earlier on Football Inc., that maybe go there. Look, I don't think anyone's in any doubt that he's a fantastic talent. Far from finished article. And would be a massive asset for Spurs, and go with all the other assets that we've got that need manipulating into to being superb. I mean, I think if you
Johnny,
look,
what that is, sorry, just to bring it back in, Chinwag Spurs, a lot of sensible comments in the chat. Obviously, a lot of funny ones as well. I love it. But Chinwag Spurs saying Rice went for 100 mil. I think 70 mil is a steal. If you look at it like that, it's good value, right, Johnny? Especially if you buy him, it's not like he's going to get worse. He might stay at the same level, but he's very likely to get even better. So as the market goes up even further, you're going to make your money back regardless, no?
Look, Rice carried that West Ham team, okay? He was West Ham, you know, and he'd established himself in the Premier League. Adam Wharton had a really good start, you know, at Blackburn, you know, real standout in the Championship, did really, really well. Came straight in to the Premier League in that January, and he hit the ground running. You know, and Oliver Glasner's done a great job improving his game. And like I said, if you guys do a piece on him and have a look at FB Refs and look at the lower percentiles for quite a few areas of his game that he needs to improve. Look, I'm not going to argue 60, 70 million. If we're in a market where there's so much money coming in that 70 million is just a drop of a hat and it ain't going to make any difference whatsoever, then I don't have a problem with it. If you're telling me we don't have much more money after we've bought this player, then I think, you know, we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. 60's fine. 60's fine.
See, you're talking yourself into it now, Johnny. You were saying it's nuts, but if you've got that investment,
it is nuts. It is nuts. But I'm saying to you, with the way, if I'm looking at the ceiling, Anthony Elanga, right? 55.
Right.
We're looking at all of these players. Is Adam Wharton better than Morgan Gibbs-White? Is he better than Kudus? No, he's not. And so,
completely different player to Kudus, but
yeah,
I do get your point.
Look, I know it's a different position, and I'm comparing apples with oranges, but I just think there needs to be a dose of reality here, right? We always say, you got to pay the money, you got to pay the money. Just look at Manchester United, right? Just look at the shit show that is down there right now with all those players stuck there, overpaid on the transfer feed, overpaying on the wages, and they're stuck. They're completely blocked up. It's like a bunged up toilet, and they called around 101 plumbers and they still can't unblock it because they can't get rid of any of the players. No one wants to take them. They'll take them on loan, and you've got to be careful. I'm not saying he ain't going to make it, because I believe he will, but paying £70 million is not our money. So people will say, why do you care? I'm just saying, obviously, point, yeah, it's not my money, so what do I care? Fair enough. He's a great player. Bring him on, right? And if we don't get him, I'm still as happy to get Douglas Luiz. That's the truth.
Douglas Luiz. Riser, a few good comments as well, mate. Appreciate your comments today. Appreciate everyone's comments, by the way. Apparently Spurs have 270 million ready. Well, the talking point was around 300. If we're including the 120 we've just spent, we've got technically, 180 left, 150 left if you're including the tell money, Johnny?
I just think that, look, if we got that money, then go and spend it. Get rid of the deadwood, because we haven't started selling yet, guys. Let's be honest. We haven't started selling. Will Manor Solomon stay? Brian Gill will go. Will Basuma go? There are plenty of players. We got a big problem here because we got a fantastic academy that's whacked full of players. We're going to need to. Thomas Frank's going to need to see them before they're shifted out. Which ones he's going to put in? We know we got a homegrown quota, club trained issue. Is he going to bring in the likes of a Mikey Moore into the club trained to fill the quota up and not play him and not the kid not see any minutes? Or is it better for him to go out to, a Birmingham or a West Bromwich Albion or wherever to get his minutes? It's a tough one, but I reckon, if we get rid of Son, if Son goes or Richarlison goes, I can easily see us recouping 80 to 100 mil in transfers. In which case, we still wouldn't have spent that much. So then the Adam Wharton deal won't look so bad. If we spend what we spent now at the moment with
115 plus Tell, which was around 30 something, so around 150 plus 5 million for Takai. So call it 150, I reckon.
And Danso, we paid for
Danso, yeah, permanent. So what's that? 170 tops.
Yeah, we bought in 17 million. Well, the interesting thing is we bought in 17 million for Pierre Højbjerg. And of course, we don't have to lay out any money for Matthias Tell because it's money that Bayern Munich owe us. I know it's a thing, but I'm just saying we're not having to lay out money for that.
Got it. I've just put a poll in the chat saying, is Wharton worth 70 mil? Because that's kind of the talking point here, is he worth the money? There's already quite a lot of votes.
Most people will say yes, won't they?
No, but mates, you'd be surprised. 60% yes, 40% no. So it's closer than you think. It's very split. This fan base is split on everything. His fan base is split on sending Son. Don't even start that one. Not now. We're going to bring up in just a minute when Frank's ready. We're going to sort out a tactical board because we want to talk. We did a video earlier. I want to give you a little bit of an appetite of the other type of content we do around analysing sort of how players positions. Go on.
You're giving us a moose boosh, are you?
That's it, mate. Little starter. We got a couple more talking points. Very quick one. Bit off the transfers. I don't want everyone to click off. Just quickly, yes or no, guys? Love that kit or not?
Oh, it's a beauty. It's an absolute beauty. I think this season the kits have been absolutely superb. I mean, I've got my DH Gate specials that I wore in Bilbao, the black and the white. But the black one, when I was walking around in the black one, everyone was coming up to me. Oh my God, that's a beautiful kit. I think that's going to sell like hotcakes. But this one is a real throwback. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's beautiful. Frank?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's one of the best we've had in years, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's the yellow shirts anyway. I love, like, really love. But there's something about like the little Total 90 sort of badge in the collar and the actual retro badge itself. Like this is an all timer, I think. So hopefully we win. Hopefully we win something in it. That'd be nice. Like really immortalize it.
Iconic. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do some tactics, guys. We did do a Morgan Gibbs-White tactical analysis, so hopefully this sort of stuff will get you over to that video, and hopefully you enjoy the content. I mean, guys, there's been around 400 to 500 watching this whole live stream. I can't believe that support is overwhelming. Honestly, guys, really do appreciate it. If you could hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. There's 100 likes and 500 watching. Hopefully we can get 200 or 300 likes there, surely. And we're very close to 3,000 subscribers, so every subscriber counts. And turn on those notification bells, because that means you never miss a video, you never miss a live stream. And we're building a Spurs-related community over here. Look, 500 of you watching, 500 of you talking with each other. Absolutely love it, guys. Honestly, I really do appreciate all the support. So keep smashing the like, smashing the subscribe, and smashing the noti bell. Appreciate all the kind words. What's the point even? Probably one of the most negative people I've ever seen in the show, but absolutely love him every single show. Chinwag saying, big up, lads, great show. There was a bit of love for Johnny earlier. I've lost the comment now. But yeah, guys. Right, let's talk about the last point, then we'll bring up the tactics board, like I said. So, one for the academy. Johnny loves the academy. I probably won't get him to stop talking for 20 minutes. We're thrilled to introduce the initial intake of young players joining our under-18 squad as full-time first-year scholars this summer. Johnny, do you want to give us a quick update on what you know about the academy recently and what we can expect, and integrating into the first team some of these guys?
Well, you got Lewis. Excuse me, Lewis, who was the under-18 coach, has now been given a promotion now, and he's now our academy first team transition coach, which sounds a bit of a mouthful, but I think it's a great idea. I think that having been through with these kids, for a lot of them from 16 years of age, playing in the under-18s, he's probably best placed now to help them through the difficult step up between academy football, loan, and coming through the first team. I've gone on about the academy, that when Fabio came in, what a massive difference he made to our academy. Our academy was an absolute mess before he came in. Loads of Instagram kids, parents taking pictures of their kids. Look at me, I'm in the Spurs Academy. Absolutely no chance of ever making it as a professional footballer at Spurs. And he's come in, got rid of them all. We went down before we could come back up, but he's like revolutionized everything that's going on there. Up the wages. We were losing a lot of players. I think Romain Mundle sort of really kicked it off. We should never have let him go. He went. But Fabio managed to convince Daniel to start paying the right money. And he was seeing a procession of, academy kids signing up now. And boy, have we got some talent. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Look, there's no point having 2 or 3 players come through in 10 years. You need a conveyor belt of talent. Chelsea have a conveyor belt of talent. Arsenal have a conveyor belt. Manchester City. Look how many players Manchester City have let go in the last 2 or 3 years. You can probably make up two Premier League teams with the players that they've let go. And I really do think in the next sort of 18 months, we're going to start to see a lot of this come to fruition. I mean, Mikey Moore, obviously, we talk about him. People say he should have got more minutes. But let's be serious. He's had more minutes than Phil Foden had at his age. And, he's not 18 till August. But some of them have gone out on loan. I mean, Ajay has gone to Doncaster. I think he scored 4 goals in his first 3 professional games.
He got another 2 today.
Yeah. He's an absolute talent. June Byfield. I mean, there's just so many. I could sit there and list a whole load of them. I like Rita Kitamarian, Callum Oluwesi, Williams Barnes. I mean, the list is endless, and that's how it should be. We shouldn't be talking about we've got a star coming through, and let's hope, and he's been nicked by Manchester City or he's been nicked by someone else. That's how it's been. In fact, before, I'll just leave you with this one. Before Fabio managed to come in, we lost 2 players to Southampton, 2 talented players to Southampton, and they both got sold for £20 million without kicking a ball. I think one was 12 and the other one was £8 million before they'd actually kicked a ball for Southampton. And that's what you're meant to be doing, right? If you look at someone like Arsenal, Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Alex Iwobi, just go through the amount of players that have come through the academy that haven't quite been up there, but have still got you 30 million, 35 million. And that is what supplements your transfer fees. And if you're bringing in a player like Jim Byfield or Mikey Moore or some of these other players that are going to come through over the years, what does it mean? It means you don't need to buy 5 players for 30, 40, 50 million. It means you can then go out and pay your 80, 90 million pound for a world-class player because you've filled a lot of the positions with your own homegrown talent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really interesting points, Johnny. Frank, anything to add about the academy? What we can expect here?
I think kind of just following on from what Johnny said, that it's such an exciting crop of talent they seem to have now. I've tried to sort of follow it for the last sort of year or two properly. Obviously, Williams Barnett, you had scored a hat-trick in the under-17 FA Cup or League Cup final, whichever one it was last year, which they won. Juno Byfield's brilliant. You got both of the Iro brothers in Blake and Ollie, and so Blake was obviously part of that list yesterday of joining the under-18s. There's a really sort of exciting crop of young talent coming through, and other than in the last sort of 5-ish sort of years, other than Kane, Winks, and Skip, no one else has really. But Tanganga went for nothing or next to nothing. So other than those 3, they're the only 3 that have given us any sort of real income from academy players that have gone on. So that's certainly important. I think there's a good crop of talent now as well that's sort of 18, 19, 20. And when you look at Donnelly, Moore, Ollie Assessi's 17, 18, going through Josh Keeley's obviously a little bit older, but that's sort of that age group, which I think a lot of them will probably go on loan this year, and we're quite exciting actually to see how a lot of them get on. Ajayi's part of that as well. Dane Scarlett still. I mean, I think Scarlett might be coming to the end. I think they might look to get rid of him after one more loan. But
we haven't spoken about Jamie Donnelly. I mean, listen. I saw Mikey Moore at 15 years of age. The first time I saw him, I was down. I'm trying to think what ground. I think it was Wimbledon. I think it was Wimbledon's ground. I was sat there, and all of a sudden I saw him beat like 3 players. He just rolled through 3 players, and I went, "Oh my God, I've just seen Paul Gascoigne." And the guy next to me shouted me, he goes, "Christ's sake, mate, calm down, mate. This is under." I said, "No, I mean, honestly, look at his balance." "Oh, you're going out," and he ended up wanting to have an argument with me.
Really?
Yeah, wanted to have an argument with me. But for me, I was really taken aback at the skill level and his balance and his upper body strength and how he rolled across the tackles. And he reminded me with that sort of barrel chest how Paul Gascoigne used to play. And so I've been sort of transfixed on his development, ever since. And Jamie Donnelly, very much the same. In fact, I went to the final, Orient final, to watch him. Unfortunately, didn't come off. But listen, we got some great talent. We've got a lot of goalkeepers. Keeley's amazing. Gunter's fantastic. I think they're above Iro, but still very good. we shall see.
Yeah, lots of talent, abundance of talent in the academy, lots coming through, hopefully into the fringe of the squad. Obviously, we haven't even talked much about Dorrington and a couple of the other players that obviously are technically on the fringe as well. So exciting times to be a Tottenham fan, but also exciting times, not just for the academy, but also for the starting 11 that we are building and the squad we're building for the Premier League and Champions League. And as I promised, and great work from Frank here to do this lastminute.com, because again, my organisation skills are never the best. But we've put onto the screen a little bit about what we can expect our shape to look like. Should we sign Morgan Gibbs-White, the player there, number 8, the yellow icon, MGW for short. Frank, do you want to talk us through a little bit about what we were explaining on our video earlier? And guys, as I said, if you want to check out the full video, we've been doing daily content, so keep supporting the channel by watching all our other videos that are coming through. Put those notification bells on to never miss when we do go live and upload those. But Frank, I'm going to hand the mic to you now, mate, because we were doing a little bit of analysis earlier, and Johnny, feel free to contribute to this as well. In terms of how we can expect Morgan Gibbs-White to fit into the 11, because a lot of people are a bit confused with what does this mean for Maddison? What does this mean for Bentancur? Well, let's break this down a little bit, okay?
So the very simple sort of first thing you could look at is that he's the 10, right? That's the very basic. He's coming in as another option as a number 10, and that's, but I think if you look deeper than that, I think he's probably going to play as sort of a deep lying playmaker in this sort of double pivot that Thomas Frank tends to have going on. And where I think it suits him perfectly is he loves to run the channels. So kind of what we looked at is that this running of the channels that he constantly does, and that he's like, we looked earlier on, his crossing numbers are unbelievable. His sort of like long balls and things like that are superb. So playing in these deep areas and then getting out wide is kind of what he thrives at, which is perfect for Thomas Frank, because half the time Matty's Tell will occupy these sorts of areas here, allowing obviously Dodgy to have more space. And Gibbs-White is more often than not, I think, will be in these areas than actually where James Maddison is, as sort of crazy as it is. But that's kind of the way that he's been at Forest. Maybe that would change. Maybe Thomas Frank will coach that out of him. But I think that suits kind of the way that Thomas Frank wants to play. So the initial kind of argument is, though, that then you are kind of left with Bergvall on his own, and you might be left with, if you're attacking, that looks fantastic, that we kind of separated it as a 5-5 as such, that's great. But the fear, I guess, is, can Bergvall cope on his own? It will be very different to what Ange did last year, because it won't be as open. Obviously, that's something that's pretty common knowledge. I think that it's not going to be this ridiculous open style where, that just literally there is space everywhere. And as I said, the amount of times last year, I think I pointed out yesterday, the Crystal Palace game at the back end of the season, the amount of times where Porro was up here, Dodgy was up here, you had Bergvall wherever, and it was literally just those two on their own last season. I mean, the amount of screenshots and bits from games you could find and goals we conceded because that was the way we played. Whereas, so last year you couldn't have a midfield of Bergvall and Gibbs-White. It would not have worked. I mean, Tottenham probably would have gone down. I get they're great players, but we would have conceded probably another 30 goals. And so this time round, however, Gibbs-White, and I think the kind of the important thing I think I spoke about in the first one of these I did was general intelligence is really important for playing in Thomas Frank's midfield. That is the simple knowing when to press, knowing when to go. I'm going to sit back now and wait. And I think with both Bergvall and Gibbs-White, they're both really intelligent players. They're both comfortable on the ball, but they're both also gritty, that they can defend. They can. I mean, James Maddison said it. I think they thought he was going to come in and be this pretty player that was going to flick it around people and do all that, but he's not. He's tough. He wins tackles. He does that as well. Don't get me wrong, but he does both sides of it. We said earlier on, Gibbs-White's got 11 yellow cards or something last season, and his defending numbers are actually some of the best compared to other midfielders in the Premier League. So when you're defending, these guys aren't going to be hopefully totally exposed. Do I think they'll play this midfield every week? I don't. I think if you're playing teams like Burnley at home, you can get away with it, because I say you can have all the ball, or 70% of the ball, 65% of the ball, whatever it is, And that's okay, because then you've got Maddison, Bergvall, and Gibbs-White as a hell of a triangle to have playing intricate passes and creating chances. I mean, that's unbelievable. But then, obviously, when you're attacking, Gibbs-White occupies these areas up here. Tell and or Johnson or Kudus. I think if we're playing this way, it'll probably be more Johnson, but either one, almost form a two. And Gibbs-White and Udogie will be able to occupy that area. Exactly the same on this side. If Johnson comes across, Porro comes in, Maddison or Gibbs-White will occupy this area. Maddison's another one that's quite good at running the channels and doing that sort of stuff. And so in terms of Gibbs-White and where he fits into this, I think he slots right into the system. Actually, I think he's a runner. He works hard, which is kind of the bare minimum for Thomas Frank, but it's important for Thomas Frank's system. You've got to be someone that can just keep going. And I think him and Bergvall are those types that they can just keep going. And also where you're lucky now and where the signing of Gibbs-White is really big for Tottenham is you can literally tell Maddison and Gibbs-White and Bergvall, all three of them, that they've got to run like there's no tomorrow for the first 60, 65 minutes. And then you've got Kulu to come on. And then you've got Bentancur to come on. Then you've got Pape Sarr to come on. And then you've got, if they bring in another one, to come on. Or vice versa, whoever's on the bench and whatever. And that difference is really key. And so, yeah, I think overall, he slots in really well. He can play in that. I mean, he could even be the one that slots in with Dominic Solanke. I would imagine that's if he's got maybe Bentancur in this area or another six with Bergvall, and he can play that role. But I think his versatility is what kind of makes this such an exciting signing, actually.
I think what you're saying is, Frank, is correct. I think the thing to bear in mind is, having watched Brentford for about 5 years now since the Championship, I was always amazed. You know, just when I thought I understood what system they were playing, it changed. Just when I thought I understood the system during a game, suddenly it changed. And what he needs intelligent players. Not just players who are good. They need to be intelligent players. They need to understand how fluid his systems are in game. I've seen him, flip from 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 5 at the back. I've seen him flip to 2 up front, play with 2 strikers. What he will do is he'll have the same ethos of how he wants to play, but it will be fluid because he will take into account the minutiae, which it will be, looking to exploit certain weaknesses in the opposition or to prevent and negate the strengths of other teams. But I think that if you can't understand multiple systems, you're not going to be of any use to Thomas Frank. And that's why, the signings that we're making with Kudus and with Morgan's Gibbs-White and some of the others, they are very flexible. They can operate in other systems. I thought it was funny that Kudus was moaning that he was being played out on the left last season. I think I mentioned this last time. Yet, he scored 3 of his 5 goals on the left. Yeah, he wants to play out on the right. Sometimes the manager knows best. I think the biggest thing that's going to be in all of these systems is that Thomas Frank loves partnerships, understanding the partnerships between individuals. So if you're on the right-hand side, Porro's understanding of Kudus' runs or, for example, on that right-hand side, knowing when to pass to him, understanding when he needs the ball, when he doesn't go, when to come inside. And I think it's really important rather than just blind passing the whole time. It's like the telepathic understanding somewhat that Harry Kane had with Heung-min Son or Shearer and Sutton. There's been many partnerships in the history of the Premier League that have down to some sort of telepathic understanding. And I definitely think that Thomas Frank is very big on that. And he will be wanting them to work on that as the season progresses. You might not see it instantly because no one knows anyone within 5 seconds. But I think with some really tough pre-season, this has got to be the toughest. I was bemoaning how easy the pre-season was, I think, last season. playing some Pirates and stuff. This season we've got Arsenal, Newcastle, Bayern Munich, and then the PSG game. So I would have thought we've been right up to speed by the time we start playing some of the games at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be super interesting. I think there's lots of different. Johnny, picking up a point you made at the start of your points there. I'm trying to find the comment. The comments are going crazy today, guys. Really do appreciate all the support. Someone put something about a 3 at the back. Frank, I'm wondering if we can quickly envisage how we'd look at a 3 at the back, depending on how the game goes, depending on how which opponent we play. Johnny as well, obviously, chime in on this as well. Who would be the back 3? Who would then be the 5 and the 2?
Can I just say, sorry, just before Frank goes over, this is what I'm talking about, is understanding how fluid. We've been spent 2 years playing a way, all right, and one way, and that's why there was no interaction from the bench with Ange Postecoglou, because they didn't need to, because they know this is what I want you to do, right, regardless of what the opposition is. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the fans cope with the fact of not understanding what the hell's going on from one week to the next. Sorry, go on, Frank.
That's right. I want to point out one thing in the comments really quickly. Romeo's obviously got a bee in his bonnet about something. But he said that all the top managers play one system. And I think solely if you think that, then I don't think you probably watch the sport. That if you think that Pep plays one system at Manchester City, you're wrong. That it's plan B and plan A don't have to be completely different ideologies altogether, but they're different variants of the same sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Where we struggled with Ange a lot until the back end of sort of March time this year, and the back end of the Europa League, he was unwilling to really have a plan B that derived even a slight bit from what he wanted to do. It was always that same way. And that was how he was going to do things. But if you look at like Manchester City, for example, and I use them as an example, that Pep will have this style of play when they're playing certain ways. But if they have to switch things up, they will. It won't be that they're all of a sudden going to sit 10 behind the ball. They're not going to do that. But they are going to tweak little things, and they're going to go, okay, we're going to bring on another striker, and we're going to play 2 up top. So that's the first thing that it doesn't have to be a whole. Thomas Frank's not going to turn around one week and go, we're going to go everyone up front this week, and we're going to try and score as many as we can. And then the next week he's going to go, I don't want you leaving the penalty area. I mean, it's going to be derived from the same ideology, but that's kind of where that's where the top managers are separated, I think, because they do change things and they do have different ideas and different ways. Like Liverpool didn't play the same way the whole season. They had different games, different times. They had to switch things up. They had to go with different players. And a plan B can be as simple as you switch personnel. As simple as if something isn't working, you make a small change. So, yeah, I mean, listen, there'll be a number of times. There'll be a number of times this season where he will look at. I mean, in the first 3 games, like competitive games of this season, we got PSG, Manchester City, and Burnley. I can see at least 2 different systems being used across those 3. But I think in that Burnley game, they'll use the side that's comfortable on the ball, that's going to create things, because Burnley are more likely than not going to sit back and try and counter when they can, and so they'll play that sort of style. But when they play Manchester City and certainly PSG, I mean, I'm terrified for that. But either one of those games, they're probably going to take a slightly more conservative approach and sit back a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that they're a defensive team all of a sudden. It's about Thomas Frank and elite coaches are about getting results depending on the situation of the game. And that is ultimately what separates top coaches from good coaches.
And I saw a comment there. So I just saw sorry, Frank, to interrupt there. I just saw a comment there. Frank talks about maintaining his principles. Yeah. Principles is not a tactic. Principles is an ethos, right? It's a mindset. Okay, it's not a tactic. And tactics are fluid. If you're watching the game, if you're a great tactician, and him and Cochrane are that. First of all, there's massive improvement in all the players that we're signing here, where young players have said, polish the stone, make them sparkle. How we start a game is not how we finish. I lost count how many times I've seen him change up systems. I remember when Ollie Watkins was sold, and their purchasing has always been superb. And then they brought in Ivan Toney, and I said, nah, they finally done one, right? This guy's not it. He's all over the place. He's out of position. And my friend said to me, don't worry about Thomas Frank. He'll have him bang on it within 3-4 weeks. He'll be bang on it. And sure enough, brought him in from Peterborough, and then the rest, we know what happened. You know, he was like a machine. And I just think it's playing with intelligence, knowing what to do. I think they're going to be absolutely blown away, because every single game, and even in the training sessions, they're going to be brought in. They're going to be shown video clips of what they're doing wrong. No, this is where I want you to do. This is what you're doing wrong. They're going to be mixed with the data. They're going to be mixed with clips, and they will just keep showing it and showing it and showing it. And if you don't comply, you won't be playing.
And there's 2 or 3 options in each position coming in, right? So if someone doesn't perform, you've even got someone like Richarlison, if he stays, banging on the door to come into the striker position instead of Solanke. You know, you've got options. I think this is another really good point from Ryan, talking absolute facts today. 5 at the back gives security, but doesn't mean we're going defensive. It just means it's easier to close space. And Frank, I'm sure, just very quickly to sort of just kind of couple final points. You know, that 5 at the back, to some people, you're thinking defensive, you're thinking Antonio Conte, but no, not in a Thomas Frank system. You know, as you're going to point out, Frank, as you drag the players, you know, when you get forward in a 5 at the back, it almost becomes a 3-4-2-1 or even a 3-4-3. It's actually attacking minded.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I think sometimes affects people. I think there's a massive difference between a 5 at the back and a 3 at the back. I think, or just that maybe it's just a mental difference, but I think if you say 3, it sounds like you've got these bombing wing backs and all this, and you say 5 and you instantly sound like you're playing this negative style. I think what they have as well in that back line at Tottenham, when you look at those 3, if that was going to be the 3, it might be Dragusin, they might bring another one in. I mean, it might be Takai, might even be Vuskovic. I doubt it, but you know, whoever that other one will be, I think Dante's probably most likely at the start if they were to use a 5. They're all front foot. They all want to play on the front foot and want to get the ball and drive with it. And so this isn't going to be one where they're going to sit and be really negative and boring to watch, because they've got Romero, who's unbelievable at breaking the lines with passing. They've got Mickey van der Ven, who's unbelievable at breaking the lines by just running and that speed and whatever. And you've got Danso, who is just generally powerful and strong and will win things aggressively and high up, like Romero does as well. And so Romero, I think, is kind of your sweeper of the 3 and can do that and can, you know, and then play those balls through. And that, with the 2 fullbacks certainly as well, it gives them space to move. Obviously, in the Thomas Frank system, if they're going to use this 5, the inside forwards are massively crucial.
Can I just add? Sorry, yeah. Frank, just while you got that on screen there. No, right. If you look at 13 there, you look at Destiny Udogie, right? Up on that left hand side. If you've ever watched him like I did at Udinese, right, he was so exciting. He would be hugging the touchline as a wing back, picking up the ball wide, and he would be driving. And once he started motoring, right, you couldn't stop him. He would cut inside and let loose a shot, scoring goals or crossing the ball and getting assists. What happened last season? It was killing his game. This inverting the wing back did not suit Destiny Udogie at all, because what he was doing, it was so crowded, the opposition would crowd out that midfield. He'd invert and he'd pick up the ball and he'd be running into Piccadilly Circus. There would be no room for him to break out. And I think both him and Pedro Porro, if they do play that wide in the 5, which I really like, I just think they're going to be far more of a threat going forward than they were in the old system. That's my feeling. Yeah. Destiny Udogie got 1 assist all season. Let that sink in.
Agreed. I mean, we saw it. I think the most sort of dodgy kind of performance that, or like what we associate with one that we saw, I think this year, was the away game at Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Where he got it, and there's a bit right at the end, I remember, where he got it and he powered it into the corner and he just kept going. And that, I think that was kind of at the final whistle. And that was kind of what we'd seen from this guy that was still in the 95th minute, whatever, like running the length of the pitch. He's powerful, he's strong. And once he gets going, as you said, you can't stop him. But because he was playing this inside role, he's not, I think Porro is a technically better player than he is. And so Porro probably was more comfortable playing in almost a midfield sort of role. I think Udogie is brilliant, by the way. But I think just differences and whatever. Whereas I think Udogie, certainly out of the two, but I think they both are, is really suited to being this wing back that can bomb up and down. And I think, yeah, I mean that space that he's going to have, given that the inside forwards are so important in what we saw with Visser and Buemo and Ben Rama and all these wingers that Thomas Frank's had at Brentford. I mean, the list goes on. That these inside forwards, Vittel and Kudus, are the space that Porro and Udogie will have to occupy, that they can just keep going and going and going. It is quite exciting. So I think using a back three or a five, whatever you want to call it, in certain games, in like games that we play at Manchester City, I mean, I think when we play PSG, they might as well stick everyone on the goal line and just keep their fingers crossed. But certainly Manchester City and games like that, if you go to Anfield, and we'd go to Anfield under Ange. I know we won 4-0 at City. I think City are one that kind of suit the way that you can get a City, because I don't think City are defensively superb. I don't think they ever really have been. But I think they're such a threat up front that teams don't want to attack them. Whereas I think I look at Liverpool, when we go to Anfield, the games under Ange at Anfield, I mean, we just caved pretty much every time. I think we played, I want to say 3 times at Anfield in the 2 years under Ange. I mean, we lost 4-2, we were 4-0 down his first year, and then was it 4-0 in the cup and 5-1 in the league, I think.
He did get progress. He did show progression. It was just progressively worse, you know.
at least we scored in one, I guess.
Hey, Romeo in the chat, you need to chill out, mate. You need to calm down. You're always, whenever you're in the chats, you're always losing it. Just calm down. It's a nice friendly chat in here. Everyone's entitled to opinion, but just calm down.
Yeah, spot on. No, I appreciate everyone's opinion. Whether I agree or not, it creates talking points, and I really appreciate all the people being positive, all the people being negative. It creates a dialogue. There is 520 people watching me live. I can't quite believe I'm saying this. It's one of the best streams ever. I think it is the best stream ever. So please do me a few favors, guys. If you have enjoyed this video today, we're going to go for another 10 or so minutes. But I believe Johnny might be about to go in just a minute. So I want to get you guys over to his channel. But before you go, please like the video. Please subscribe to SpursRelated. And turn on the notification bell. It's my new favorite one, the little ding, ding. So you never miss a video. You never miss a live stream. You can come back in here when we're doing more tactical analysis, more breakdowns, more information, more transfer updates. Please do those 3 things. It's free to do so. And please don't go yet, because we're still going to be going for a few more minutes. But go and check out Johnny's channel, which is Football Inc., which I'm going to let him talk to you about now very quickly. And then we'll go back and talk about this for another few minutes. Don't come off the video yet. We're not finishing yet. Johnny, what can we say?
Thanks for having me on, guys. Yes. So Football Inc. only started a couple of months ago. It's been pretty insane start. We're heading off now towards 4,000 followers in just a couple of months. We talk about everything football related. Obviously Spurs, but literally everything. Every club, transfers, finance, controversy. And it's myself and Sean Butler from Spurs Talk Show. And it's been doing extremely well. I think we had 17,000 people in yesterday, which is just insane over the two streams. So if you can come in and give us a sub, come and watch the show after this, obviously not before. It'd be much appreciated, and good luck with this. And you can also find me on Talking Tottenham 1882 on Instagram. Guys, thanks very much for having a show, and I'm glad it's been a successful show, and long may it continue for you guys.
Thank you, mate. It's been good. Are you going now, Jono?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I broke my curfew. I said I'd be half an hour, and right. I think I've done an hour and 10. So
invoice me in the morning, mate. It might be a mate's rate. Yeah,
it's free. It's free. It works both ways. You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. Not literally, but
yeah, I hope not.
All right, thanks Johnny. Very much. Good luck.
Mate.
Come on,
thanks,
you.
Mate.
See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Right, guys, go and check out Football Inc. As Johnny just said, they're smashing it over there. It's an all football channel, so please do so. Back to Spurs related, back to everything. We've just lost about 100 viewers, Frank. Everyone thinks we're coming offline. We're going to break this down a little bit further. But guys, I've just also looked, one more plug. I know I say I don't do it, but I mean, the numbers are insane today. I think we've got 2,960 subscribers. We're 40 away from 3,000. Can we do it before we end the live stream today? Let's see. I'm going to bring up a couple comments. I'm even going to bring up Romeo's, because why not? System or no system? They are full internationals. They play better for the internationals because their fans are soft. I don't even know what to make of this one. Right, Frank, let's go back to the tactics, because how will we fit into... How do you reckon we'll play if we're playing the likes of, I don't know, a Man City, a Liverpool, where it's a higher caliber of an opponent, and we're likely to maybe play optimistically, but also going to need some solidity in there as well?
I mean, when you first think of it, you think they probably use a 3 or a 5, right? That's the first that they're going to use this sort of lineup, give or take, and it'll be that 5. But also, it'll be different midfielders. Let's go Bentancur maybe in there, and I think Bergvall probably keeps that for now. We'll call it that. But where I think it might vary a little bit, and I'm yet to really be sure of this, is Spurs have a better caliber of player than Brentford do on the whole, right? Especially as he's spending 60 million on Kudus, 60 on Gibbs-White. He's buying good players that he probably would have liked to have at Brentford. So instantly, if you're Brentford, who have the lowest wage budget in the Premier League, or one of the lowest, and have had one of the lowest, you've got a team that probably can't compete with most elite sides. So instantly, when you play Manchester City or you play Liverpool, you go, we're going to sit as many behind the ball and look to try and be successful when we get our chances. And so that might stick, but then he might also look at it and go to Manchester City. And I wouldn't be against this. A little bit like Ange did, and be like, we are going to give up chances. We're going to obviously give up less than Ange did, but we're going to give up chances. But you can hurt Manchester City. Teams hurt Manchester City, especially obviously Roger will be back. But every year we've played City, give or take over the last sort of 5 years, I think we've beaten them at least once. I could be wrong, but there or thereabouts. I mean, it feels like we beat them all the time. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Right? It feels like we beat them quite often, and that is because Manchester City defensively aren't fantastic. They have players that are great on the ball. They have Ruben Diaz, they have Akanji, they have Ake. These guys are good defenders. They're solid defenders. Do I think they're elite? I don't. Liverpool have Virgil van Dijk. That's a different level. He's an elite centre half. I think Gabriel and Saliba is probably harder to break down than the City defence. And the way that City play is very open. It's, dare I say, a little bit like Ange's, in that it's open. And you can get at them. And so largely last season, I think Tottenham looked like what City looked like without Rodri, without that focal point in the middle. They were a mess. And so that's why I think we probably solidified a little bit when Bentancur came into the team, like when Rodri's there, not to the same extent, but that sort of thing. So Thomas Frank might look at a game like Manchester City and go, do you know what? We're not going to play this defensive style. We're going to be structured, and we're going to maybe drop a Gibbs-White for Bentancur or another 6 or whoever, and we're going to be a little bit more solid. But we're going to play. We're going to still go with James Maddison in the middle, because we think that we can control it, and we think that if you get the ball against Manchester City, which isn't, you're probably going to have less of the ball against Manchester City, that you want to make that count. And if they look at it and go, we haven't got a James Maddison on the pitch, or Kulu on the pitch, or Gibbs-White on the pitch, it's going to be tougher to make that count. Like we see it that Kulusevski, every time we go to City, is brilliant. James Maddison, brilliant last year, scored twice and got man of the match. I mean, it sort of goes that's important, because these are guys that when you get limited amounts of time on the ball against Manchester City, if you get 30-35% possession, which is quite common at the Etihad or Anfield or whatever, you need these guys. You want the best guys on the ball to make things happen at these times. And both James Maddison and Kulusevski and Kudus is another one now who I think will be in that sort of bracket. And Gibbs-White. All 4 of them are players that you want to get on the ball because they will create you things. Bergvall, to an extent as well, actually, will create you things in these areas when they get the ball. Because, as I say, you ain't going to have a lot of the ball. So when Romero feeds the ball into James Maddison, I'd rather have him be on the ball than Solanke's dropping deep. And then, and that will be something that I think Thomas Frank, I think if I'm thinking of it, Thomas Frank will think of things that are 10 times more, difficult to think of. And so that, I think, it wouldn't shock me if he goes either way. I think the 4 is going to be predominantly used the most. I think that's going to be what is going to be the system. But just because you play a 4, it doesn't mean it's going to be a 4 that we saw under Ange, where it's going to be the fullback's going to be really high, and then there's going to be Van der Ven's charging forward, then Romero's on his own, and then Vicario's flying out of his box. It's the whole thing of Ange was chaos, and this is far more structured and far more relaxed and regimented in the way that Thomas Frank wants to play. And so Bentancur and Bergvall, or one of them, or as I say, Saar, Gibbs-White, if he comes, or whoever these guys will occupy these spaces. They ain't going to be, because so many times last season, if we were watching Spurs, you'd have Solanke in and around here, and let's just call it, this can be Johnson and Son or whatever. All of a sudden, Bentancur would be over here, James Maddison would be down here, and Bergvall would be over here. And if you had a back line, I'll just quickly chuck 4 in. 1 second.
Look at this. I feel like I'm watching Gary Neville here. Honestly, this is absolutely ridiculous. Monday night football content, guys. I've just while Frank's putting in his defensive line, I've just checked the numbers. 23 subscribers, put 30. It's actually 23 subscribers off 3K. This stream has been absolutely nuts, guys. I mean, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. Like, we were literally averaging between 50 and 100 viewers per episode, and now suddenly we have 400-500 people in the house. It's absolutely crazy. Like I said, thank you so much. Please keep subscribing. Please keep liking. And please keep turning on those notification bells, because I like that one. Little ring. You never miss a video. You never miss a live stream. But enough plugging for now. Back over to, and Romeo, people in the chat, just argue and debate, but don't. We want it to be in a friendly atmosphere here. Nothing, no people, putting explicit language in there. Otherwise, I'll just ban you. So let's keep it nice. Let's debate, but let's keep it sensible. Frank, back over to you, mate.
So this is kind of this is more last year, right? And give or take some of the players, Kudus, Johnson, and whatever. But it applies the same sort of thing. What would be a problem last year is we're playing Wolves here, right? And they're sitting in this sort of this block. But so often you'd have Bergvall would be over here, right? And all they do is they just shuffle a little bit. The ball would come to where Romero is, and Maddison's dropping into this gap, and Bentancur's. And your midfield, when you look at that midfield, I'm not sure if there's a way. I'm not sure if. No, I don't know how. But your midfield of Bentancur up here, James Maddison, and Lucas Bergvall. I mean, it's a triangle, but it's a mess of one. And so you never really get any fluidity because all of a sudden Romero's going in here, and this winger will just drop in and cut that off. So then one of your midfielders is cut off, and constantly you sort of soft, and Bissouma was probably the worst for it. Actually, it'd always be down one of these sides of the pitch. Now, we said about Gibbs-White, but it's that will be different, because where it will be different is Tell will be inside. So you have an option always inside, and same with Kudus. So you're going to have an extra 2 options inside, whereas before, Ange's wingers are all the way out here. They're all the way touchline
isolated. Especially with Johnson, who can't be his man. It was always a case of Johnson would stay on the wing, try and take on a man, fail, go backwards. We then reset, but then Johnson was finding his form by running into the back stick and tapping the ball home. But actually, I've kind of stolen your thunder there, Frank. It's exciting that we're going to be playing much more fluid up front, and as you're probably about to explain, Kudus and Tell will come inside more, right, as second strikers almost.
Well, there's that. And what there also is with Kudus and Tell is they're both going to run at you. They're both going to create things. I mean, one of the better performances we had in the league last season, and we lost, so it's hard to justify, but was when we lost to Forest. We lost to Forest about April time, I want to say it was. We lost 2-1, and we weren't very good. Sorry, they weren't very good, but they set their way, they defended, and they let us have a lot of the ball. But it was the first time I think Tell and Odobert started together on the wings in the Premier League, I think. And they looked brilliant, because every time they got it, they drove at you and then they'd get in a ball. And we didn't see that enough with Sonny, because Sonny isn't a touchline winger. And that's nothing against Son. Son suits playing this inside role. But Tel can do both. Tel was, I think, naturally quite a good finisher. We saw it in the Euros, the under-21 Euros with France a few times and whatever. But Tel can also hurt you with pace and skill. And Kudus is the same. And so now you've got one on either side that can do this. So now you've got multiple different options. But if Romero finds James Maddison, he's not instantly looking for Bentancur, who's all the way up here, or Tel was probably going to be here. One of the two wingers will always probably be inside at most times, right? Porro can have more space to occupy, whereas always Porro was in this area here where he was just swarmed. That long-term successful like Pep, you need to have a big squad, a fully fit squad, and a squad that's all technically capable. And too many players I think we had last year, and I used like Richarlison and people like that, weren't, as little one-touch things, weren't technically capable. Johnson I actually think was, but Johnson was less confident to go running at people. But so this is a little bit different, because you need to be technically good, and that's not, there's no denying that. But you're probably going to get more space. You're going to get more space because if you're playing these blocks, they're like the inside forwards have the intent of giving space down the lines, which then gives you dodgy Porro, if it's Bentancur or Gibbs-White, James Maddison or Bergvall in those areas. That another thing as well, kind of following on with James Maddison, is so often last year, as I say, he dropped into this area here, almost like a 6. And that was brilliant. But then, and that was great at times, that when we played Manchester United and Manchester City, and he looks like the best player in the world when he hit that. But if the ball comes into James Maddison here, and this was what we looked like last year, bear in mind, you're dodgy maybe a little bit more inside, same as Porro. Where does James Maddison give the ball? 1 second. Get the ball there. If James Maddison's got the ball, where does that ball go? You can either feed it into Dominic Solanke and hope that one of those 4 ain't going to intercept it or nail him in a tackle. You can feed it into your dodgy, who could come across, but he's probably going to be followed. Bentancur. Then you have to go backwards. So then you've got Bergvall sitting in a pocket where he's marked, and that was kind of the downfall of Ange's system the whole time. That this system was a low block, literally stopped you from being effective most of the time because you couldn't break it down. Whereas under Thomas Frank, you've got Kudus will come inside, you've got Tel will come inside, and instantly it frees up massive amounts of. You've almost got a line of 5 up front. Just from that, because those going inside allow so much more space down the wings. Because then all of a sudden, if you're this number 1, this left back here, you're thinking I can push out. I've got to watch Pedro Porro. Kudus has got a free roam, and so you can't do that. So they have to still sit. And so Porro has. So if you've got a winger who's naturally a little bit lazier, like this number 8 here for the other team, you're going to have a field day down the wings, an absolute field day. Like if you're playing a winger who's less likely to track back or whatever. So teams like when you play Manchester City, and I look at like Ryan Cherky on the wing, and I use him as an example, just the first one to come to my head. I mean, Salah's not a great one for tracking back, and a lot of these guys that instantly they're going to have unbelievable amounts of space. And so if Romero can find these balls out, you've then also once the ball comes out here as well. We didn't cross the ball enough last year. In the first year, we scored that same goal over and over again. We whipped it in low, and Johnson scored a few of those this year. But where we had a problem this year was bodies in the box. It was always Solanke, but you always just had 2 on him because you had a winger right out here and a winger right out here. There was never. You might occasionally have Pape Sarr coming in late or Kulu coming in late or Johnson at the back post, but there was never really. It never really felt like, you had much chance if you were going to whip in a ball, much chance of scoring a goal from it. I mean, when I look at, I think Richarlison scored a header in that Forest game that I mentioned. Solanke scored one against Newcastle. I mean, if there's any more, then please correct me. But I can't think of any more. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the difference now, in that you're going to have more players in more dangerous areas. And I said it before when we spoke about Thomas Frank's system the whole time, in that Arne Slot made things so simple at Liverpool. He didn't have to, reinvent the wheel from when Klopp left. He literally came in and he said, we're going to give the ball to the best players in the best areas and it will work. And don't get me wrong, they worked hard. I mean, they worked unbelievably hard, and they they were so driven and they so drilled and the passing. And I mean, when we lost 6-3 to them, it was the best team I've seen. We were bad, but that was the best team I've seen at Tottenham in a very long time. They were drilled, they were zipping it about, they were brilliant. But what they did that was so simple is if Kudus here was Mo Salah. Salah more often than not got the ball in this area where he's best. You know, and that happened with a lot of players. Szoboszlai and McAllister always seem to pick up the ball in this area here. Diaz in these areas here. You know, Trent and Robertson always had space where they needed it, where Porro is. And so football can be made a really simple game, actually. And I think I said this before, and it's the quote from, I think it's Bill Shankly, that, you know, football was made complicated by, I can't remember the full quote. Football was made unnecessarily complicated, basically. And it is. You know, and I think Thomas Frank is kind of about that, about making it simple. That they're going to give Porro is technically a great footballer, and I would almost go as far as saying actually one of the better ones at Tottenham. I think he's a brilliant player. I love him, and so give him the ball where he can hurt you, like Liverpool gave Trent the ball. If Trent had played in that midfield role all season, yeah, he can do it, but he's not going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold as we know him. He's going to be a lesser version of that, and that was the same with Porro. And so, I mean, Porro, I think he's got, since he moved here, he's got more goals and assists than any defender in the country. I mean, that's, you know, he can do that, and that's in the exact same league as Trent. And there's so many fullbacks. Anthony Robinson, there's you know, Leif Davies got a few last year, and so that sort of caliber of player. And so it can be made very simple, and I think Thomas Frank will make it very simple. And where I think we're lucky is that Spurs have a better team than people think, I think, as well. The idea, we finished 17th and we had a bad league season, and I'm not gonna sit here and you know, tell everyone that we're going to win the league or anything. But we have a better team than people make out. I really believe that. You know,
it's underrated. We've got a lot of underrated players, haven't we, Frank? Lots of players that not necessarily always talked about, but can put in a shift. And we've also got versatility. I mention the word every single video, but we have a lot of versatile players. You know, you've just been talking about Tell, you're talking about Johnson, how they can almost fit into a second striker position under Thomas Frank. And that's what's so exciting, is in the squad, we have so many players that can cover so many different positions as well. Guys, I'm going to pause the analysis for just 1 minute to thank you all for 3,000 subscribers. Wow, we gained, I can't believe it, Frank. We gained 150 subscribers in this live alone. It's absolutely nuts. I really do appreciate all the support that's going into this YouTube channel. Like, we were literally streaming to like 50 to 100 people. I'm not sure what YouTube have done today. They've almost pushed us out on a hot sunny day, and we've got 400 to 500 of you in the house hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, and watching the content. I really do hope you are enjoying it. We'll go for another few minutes just because I'm absolutely buzzing. So really appreciate all those people whacking the comments in, whacking the likes in, whacking the subscribes in. If you guys can do me all a massive favor, and this is the one I keep banging on about. I keep banging on about like and subscribe, of course. But if you can all hit the notification bell on, which is just next to the subscribe button, that would really mean the world, because it means you never miss a video, you never miss a live stream, and you guys can come back in here and debate all of the talking points around Tottenham Hotspur. Appreciate you, Ben. Appreciate you, A1. Appreciate Ben and Jimbo. Kate and Jimbo, and everyone else. But let's go back to this just for a few more minutes, Frank, because I know you've got a couple more points in you. I know you want to talk about something else as well to do with the Thomas Frank system.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of just keeps following on a little bit, and I mean, as I say, everything I said about Porro flips to Destiny Dodgy as well. But where I think that we are really lucky as well is with Christian Romero, and this is why he's so vital. That we watched it with Brentford last year, and they had Pinnock, they had Nathan Collins. Christopher Ayer has been there. I mean, I can't, again, off the top of my head, I can't think of any more, but please correct me if you can think of any. But those, at Brentford, I've got blank.
Pinnock, Ayer, Collins, yeah,
I think they're the only thing I can think of. But yeah, you know, those. But where Romero is so elite for me, and where it takes him from being a top centre half to being one of the best, is his passing range and his ability to find things. And so We started doing it a little bit again under Ange, where Maddison would run from deep and get into these areas, and Romero would look to find him. And so, sorry, one second, I've had an AirPod die. Give me a moment. Which one
No worries. While Frank's sorting that one, guys, put in the comments below what you think are the two signings. Go with two signings that you think the Tottenham need before the end of the window. Whether that's a Palhinha, whether that is a Adam Wharton, whether that is a Douglas Luiz, perhaps in the number 6 position, or whether you think we actually need a more forward-thinking option as a priority. I think the general consensus we'd say is a number 6, but I also think that there is an argument for a spare left back. There is an argument for a second striker that can play off the left, depending if what happens with Sonny as well. So, 2 players in the comments. Get you guys involved more. What you think we need to sign before the end of the window, and I'll bring up every single one. In just a moment. Frank, is your AirPod good now? Are we
Yeah,
back?
no, we're all good. We're all good.
Okay.
So and kind of answering that question as well. One thing that's really important to me is that they get a left back. I think a left back's really pivotal, actually, and more so than just maybe going, oh, we need Kyle Walker-Peters on a free because he can do a job. I think a left back's really important, and that's the sole reason of fluidity. I like Jed Spence. I think Jed Spence is a good player. And Jed Spence actually was better largely as a left back. Individually was better as a left back, I thought, last year than he was as a right back. But having said that, the problem with having a right back, as your left back, is rarely they're going to go on their left foot down this side. And I think he did it against Southampton. He got an assist about start of April. But rarely, usually he would go outside the boot. And he did that often. It became like a kind of a constant move from Jed Spencer outside the boot, and it becomes readable, and it becomes that too often he would get it in this area and he'd turn back and come to your dodgy. So Jed Spence, I think, will occupy the backup right back, or one of the right backs, as opposed to being a backup, but he's one of the two. And then I think they need a left back, because then you can, if of a similar sort of profile to your dodgy, because then you can have these guys that are so intense and so powerful and so quick, and as Johnny said earlier on, you can't stop him when he gets going. You dodgy. He's someone that he's so big and so strong and so powerful and direct that you ain't stopping him. And so instantly he can drive into these spaces, and then you've got Tell can maybe drop off a little bit, or Maddison can occupy that, and Tell can go. And so having fullbacks that suit this system, whether he plays a 4, a 3, a 5, whatever you want to call it, is really important. And I think Tottenham kind of have perfect fullbacks for it. I don't want to speak too soon and whatever, but it's kind of like when we had Rose and Walker under Pochettino, that this duo that can just bomb forward. But they're also, because Porro isn't bad defensively. I think there's kind of a misconception sometimes, and it's the same with Trent. And Trent I watch sometimes, and he is poor defensively, but
he isn't great defensively. I'll be honest.
No, but there's a few of those sort of attacking ones that, because they're good at going forward, people instantly go, they can't defend. And so that is a bit of an issue sometimes in the media. But Porro isn't bad defensively. Porro, at times I watch him and go, but Porro was also kind of hung out to dry a little bit. Same as Udogie. And under Ange, it's so hard to really tell with some of these guys. Porro had been here for 6 months when Ange got here. Udogie joined, his first game was under Ange. Obviously, he joined the year before, and his first game was under Ange. So it's really hard to tell how good these guys actually are, because we're seeing glimpses of it. But we're seeing glimpses of it when Udogie's playing as a centre midfielder and Porro's playing as a centre midfielder. And then we go, oh, they can't defend, or they can't pass, or they can't attack, or they can't. And so it's really hard to judge them.
Do you think? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Frank. Do you think almost that our fullbacks will work better under Thomas Frank than they did under Ange? Because obviously under Ange, it was very much a unique position in the sense that it was these inverted fullbacks, like you said, they almost came into midfield a lot of the time. Do you think that actually Porro and Udogie's top positions are playing at fullback, bombing up and down the wing, almost converting to a wing back?
I think so. I think certainly Udogie. I think Udogie struggled to sometimes come to terms with the pace of the Premier League, of playing in midfield. Porro,
do you think that sorry to interrupt there. Do you think that almost puts out the argument that Seth's saying about Anthony Robinson from Fulham, because I've seen a lot of people comment. And also, before I get you to your thoughts on that, Frank, I want to go through that talking point that I just asked people in the chat. Who's your dream signings, your 2 dream signings for the rest of the window? And we've got Scott saying striker and a centre mid CDM. We've also got Adam Wharton and Eze would be nice. We've got Milinkovic says Rodney. Big up Rodney, by the way. You've been in the whole time. I don't those things don't go unnoticed. Vissa and Wharton or Luis, Douglas Luis for him. You got Trevor saying Morgan Gibbs-White and Vissa. You have got Dusan Vlahovic and Adam Wharton for Ben. We've got mentions of Robinson as I just said. Who are you going for on the 2 signings, Frank? And sorry to steal your thunder there on the analysis piece about Udogie, but do you think Robinson is needed? Because I personally don't think he is, but I do like him as a player.
I think he's brilliant, and I really like him. But I think Robinson's going to go somewhere where he's going to play every week, or at least he's going to play the majority of the games, and he won't at Tottenham because Udogie is good. I like to comment in there. I think it was A1 Synergy, I think, and he said about Miguel Gutierrez, who's at Girona and was at Real Madrid, and I think that's an interesting one. I think you need to get someone. It's really hard to find these sort of players that is a happy medium and is okay to sit on the bench. Not but more often than not, like Ben Davies is a kind of not a great example, but he's someone that is happy to be part of it and happy to play it and will give you his all when he plays, but he isn't always going to play. And so that's a difficult one to find. So more often than not, you probably have to go with someone that's young and knows that at 20 years old, they're not going to play instantly. The problem is if you sign someone that's 20 or 19, he's a young left back and you've got him out of Spain or Italy, everyone's going to go, oh, you're signing another young kid. It's all about the future. It's never about now. But it's very hard to go, and you can't just go to Fulham and go, £60 million, we want Anthony Robinson. And he's going to say, well, am I going to play? And you're going to go, not all the time, no. And so, because for me, when Udogie's at his very best, I think the left back market across the world is quite empty. And I think Udogie's one of the better lot, when he's at his best. I mean, he had a torrid time of injuries and things this year. So I don't think Anthony Robinson's one that will happen. I think they need to find, as I say, a young left back. Gutierrez is a good shout. He's 23. He's played in Spain for a few years. He's probably young enough but also not of that level yet. But you can still make him better. He's 23. He gives you another option, and so that's certainly a good shout. But yeah, I think a left back's really important. And then I think other than that, I think a 6 is important. A 6 is key for a couple of reasons. I think sometimes it's made out to be a little bit more important than it is, but that's not to discredit it. I think they could do with a 6, but it also depends.
I just don't think on the point about the 6, Frank, I just don't think that Bentancur or Bergvall or obviously Basuma, if he sticks around, are natural 6s standalone in a Thomas Frank system, or if it's the 4-2-3-1, you do need that anchor man, that can play on the pivot. And I mean, you could obviously make the argument as we look back at this that a Bergvall and a Morgan Gibbs-White could work. I don't think it works against certain teams. I do think you need that anchor man within. Who are you going for if we do sign a number 6? And I know you're a big Adam Wharton fan. I know you're a Douglas Luiz fan as well, and you just talking about another player. But if you had to pick one, who would it be? And demonstrate on the tactical board how that would work with the number 6 and the other 2 pushing forward, I guess.
I think simply, I mean, we'll call him 8 again. I would like either Wharton or Angelo Stella of Stuttgart. I think Wharton is going to cost you a lot of money. I really like Adam Wharton. I think he's brilliant. But I think Wharton could cost you £80-odd million. I don't agree, like Johnny said earlier on, I don't agree that that's necessarily a thing to turn you off of him, by the way, because he's the sort of player, Adam Wharton, that I could see going to Liverpool in a year's time or this summer, and we all in 2 years' time go, well, why didn't we sign him? So And then he was there for 70 million. Now he's probably worth 150. He's one of the best midfielders in the world. Why didn't we sign him? And so I think I saw a comment earlier on quite a long time ago, and it said that, Rice was 100 or whatever he was, that Wharton at 70 looks like a snip at that. And that's, so Wharton's one I'd look at. I think Stiller will be slightly cheaper than Wharton. And he's been brilliant under Uli. Is it Uli or Sebastian? Which one's the one that's the manager of? That's really bad. I think Sebastian Hoeneß is the manager of Stuttgart. Uli Hoeneß is the guy who was at Bayern Munich. Sebastian Hoeneß under him. And so, yeah, Stiller's one. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Stiller or as much as I have of Adam Wharton. But Stiller's one that's done well this year and would be quite exciting. And so instantly, if we look at it like this, that's kind of your diamond, your triangle in midfield. It's important because what an actual six gives you, and I think Bentancur can do this. I want to see him do it under Thomas Frank because I think we're judging him being a six under Ange, and as I say, it's so hard to judge any of these guys. I think, or a lot of them under Ange, because of just the absolute chaotic nature of the whole system. But what a six gives you, and it's kind of important to have a lighthouse in midfield, one that sees everything, and that he literally needs to stay in this area here, and he doesn't have to move, and that gives so much more freedom to James Maddison, because then he hasn't got to come in and Maddison has then freedom, and so does Lucas Bergvall, or Gibbs-White, or Pape Sarr, or Bentancur if he plays there, or if they bring anyone else in, or Kulusevski, whoever. That these guys have that freedom, and then you can join the attack. You Dodgy and Porro obviously up here as well. But then constantly, if you were to lose the ball, if Maddison lost the ball last year, so often he'd lose it, and it was this, and you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, and it'd be Romero and Van der Ven, and we got bailed out because Van der Ven is a freak of nature, and that's true. But if you can reduce the amount of times that you have to put Van der Ven, on a run, you reduce the amount of times he gets injured, first of all, which is crucial, which probably reduces the amount of times we lose games because he's very good. And so by having this guy here, you need someone that's a little bit more gritty and will win things, but also be clever. Like Kante was brilliant at it. Fabinho was brilliant at it. That Fabinho was never an elite footballer, I never thought. Kante was better. Fabinho at Liverpool, yeah. I never thought he was elite. I never thought Casemiro was elite, to be honest, at Madrid. He had good players around him, but what he did unbelievably well was, if there was a counter-attack, he'd put in a challenge, but he wouldn't get booked. And it's about being smart and street smart. So many times this season, teams are on a counter-attack and Basuma just nails someone and gets booked. And it's like, but now you can't make another tackle. I mean, I think he did it against Bodo Glimt in the semi-final. He got booked after about 3 minutes. And it's like, why? Because now all you've done means you can't make another tackle for the rest of the game. And so he probably stays on the pitch till the 60th minute or 65th minute. You're putting everyone else in kind of danger around you because now you can't make a tackle. You're on that yellow card, and so you're almost going to have to let them skip past you, or you're going off, and then you put your team in real jeopardy. So I think a 6 is really important. I think it'd be one of those two for me would be in a really elite coup, I think.
Yeah, and Angelo still is an interesting one. I don't, I haven't seen too much of him. Obviously, plays for Stuttgart, 24 years old, as you said. Works alongside Hoeneß, their manager. They actually won the DFB Pokal last season, which is their equivalent of the FA Cup, and his average match rating is insane. It's really good. Like last season, average match rating of around 7.5. Got 2 assists in the final in a 4-2 win, and is playing as more of, like you said, that holding player. Very decent player. I can just see a lot of green ratings. If you guys want us to do a little analysis on Angelo Stiller, not to just throw out a name that we're not linked with concrete, but a video on who we think would be the best number 6, smash your comments in below and we can do exactly that. I also wanted to bring up a final point because, again, there's still 400 of you in here. I wanted to bring up one more point, which was from Seth Auerbach, who's made a couple of really good comments today. Welcome on in, mate. He's saying, say a 6 comes in, is Bergvall in your best 11, Frank?
I think, and this is gonna make people laugh. I think Bergvall's one of our best players. Full stop. I think first of all, just talking about him, for kind of forget the question for a second, but just talking about him, I think he's unbelievable. I think he's got every attribute to be a superstar. He's got shades of Modric. He's the guy's unbelievable. And I will be absolutely staggered if we're not elite, if he's not at Real Madrid in 2 or 3 years' time, just because he's the guy's superb. Probably one of my favourite Tottenham players at the moment, because I think he's just an absolute joy to watch. But the simple thing is if you had a cup final tomorrow, he starts for me. Yeah, I think so. But that doesn't mean. But the problem is, as I say every time, you've got 48 games at least this season, 48 at the bare minimum. So it's really important that you have a squad. And Bergvall obviously is coming off the back of a bit of a nasty injury at last season, where he was out for a month or two. He might not be straight. And also, we kind of got to remember that it's his first year in English football. You know, he's just turned 19 in the last couple of months. So he's young. He's got to learn still a lot. I think Thomas Frank will love him, because I think it will suit the system. So if you're the Scandinavian link, I think he's going to adore him. But that doesn't mean that he can play 48 games in a season, because it's not feasible. You can't do that. So I think it's important that we have a squad. I think if we had a cup final tomorrow, Bergvall would have to start. But that doesn't mean that I think he should start, for example, in the game against Burnley on the first day of the season, and again in the same game in the same against Manchester City the week after. I'd start him. But then that's not to say I'd start him at West Ham the following week, or whenever we play West Ham. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of
100%.
I mean, there's a comment there about laughing about the idea of Bergvall as a 6, but as I say, I think we've become so hung up on this idea that we have to have a 6th, and I do agree. But because you've got, I think a 6 in an Ange system is like a saviour. I think a 6 in this is less necessary. It's important, but don't get me wrong. But you've got Gibbs-White, as I say, grew up playing as a 6. He can play that role. Bergvall, I think, is an 8. If you want to, I think the terms of 6, 8, and 10 have become so, they define players now. And so I think that kind of needs to be shifted. But if you want to call him an 8, I think Bergvall's more of an 8. Can play as a 10, but I also think could probably play as a 6. I think he's a good enough footballer to do all 3. I mean, it's kind of like, dare I say, I don't want to make comparisons because he's 19, but kind of like Gerrard could do all 3. And some of these guys that
Modric
do that,
to an extent, especially in his earlier days.
Modric, Gerrard, these guys that can play as a 6, an 8, and a 10, and they're a complete midfielder. And he is one of those, I think. And so I think he will be in the team a lot more than he's not this year.
100%. 100%, mate. And what's that word I always use? Versatile. Again, Bergvall, versatile player. Johnson, a versatile player. Tell, a versatile player. Morgan Gibbs-White, a versatile player. We got a lot of versatility in the team, which means we have squad depth in lots of different positions. Guys, we're going to talk about one more thing, and then we're going to wrap things up. I have to say it again. Thank you so much for all the support today. Over 500 of you watching live, which is absolutely mind-boggling. So thank you so much for the support. Please do keep liking the video. Takes 1 second. Subscribing to the channel takes 1 second. And turn those notification bells on. Also takes 1 second. All free to do so, because we're going to go live again tomorrow, and I hope to see some of you there again. So if you turn on the subscribe button and the notification bell, you'll see exactly when we go live and do our next video. So you'll be back debating, back with the Spurs relatables in the comments. So please do hit the subscribe, hit the like, and hit the notification bell. All 3 free to do so. That would be amazing. Frank, the last point I wanted to bring up, and I've already lost the comment because the comments are going crazy. Here we go. If PSG Super Cup was tomorrow, and it's not long away, by the way, it's about a month away, what's our starting 11? Frank?
That I don't want any of them leaving the penalty area. To be honest, I think it will be. My money would be on. I mean, it ultimately depends. I know it's the idea of it being tomorrow theoretically. Yes, Frank Thomas is my actual name. Sorry, comment. It ultimately depends on the preseason and how much integration some of these guys get. I think it will be a similar team to what played in the Europa League final, because they won't change. They'll change enough, but I think it will be that sort of personnel. To be honest, I think it'll be Solanke. I think Tell will probably start. I think this will be Johnson. Bergvall will play, and I think they will play Bentancur. If they get a new 6 in, maybe it might be Gibbs-White, but I think Bergvall and probably Bentancur, and then the usual back line.
Can I be honest though? And this may cause a bit of controversy. I'm genuinely not meaning to be controversial. Do you not think Bentancur will get overran in that midfield against PSG, against the likes of Fabian Ruiz, against the likes of João Neves, against the likes of that PSG team that are relentless, that Vitinha doesn't stop running, right? He's on you the whole time. Made Real Madrid look silly the other day, made Inter Milan look silly. You know, it just seems like, you know, how one-sided that final was. Do you not think Bentancur, who I do like as a player, but I don't think that he is sometimes the man for certain teams. Bergvall runs his socks off, but can he compete with those players? So let's just quickly break this down. So, I mean, it's a hard, as Seth's put, you know, PSG are insane. If we win this, I'll be very surprised. And by the way, guys, I'm very optimistic. Just to put this, if you're new to the channel, Frank and I are probably some of the most optimistic Spurs fans, probably too optimistic. And I just cannot see us getting anything out of this game. That's not being negative. That's just me being realistic. I'm sure you guys agree. So Solanke up top, Maddison at the 10, Kudus or Johnson. You going Johnson? You said.
I think. Yeah. I imagine. I mean, I might be wrong. I think on that first day, I think it'll be relatively the same. Having said that, though, I mean, Nuno Mendes at left back for PSG is one that's, you know, been unbelievable everyone he's played. So maybe playing Kudus, someone that can actually run at him and go at him. To be honest, I think they might use a 5. They wouldn't shock me if they use a 5. I think it's really tough to tell and actually analyse it until we've kind of seen at least the game against Reading in a week today, actually. I think Bergvall's comment there, I think Bergvall's probably the one you want against PSG the most, because he's probably the most energetic. He's probably the one that can keep up with their midfield. But, I mean, I think if you put Iniesta, Xavi and Busquets in their prime against his midfield right now, it would be a hell of a game. So I don't think that the personnel particularly matters. I mean, Bergvall, I think probably it will be either that or they will go with a 5 and it will be Danso where James Maddison is, and that will be the team. That would be my guess.
Interesting. I like it. So just to summarise, Porro at right back, Danso at right centre back, Romero at centre back, Van de Ven left centre back, Udogie left back. Well, obviously we know that's not Wharton or Stiller. That's Bentancur. And then we've also got, well, potentially Morgan Gibbs-White if that actually gets solved. Bergvall, and then 5-2-3. Yeah, I could see that. Guys, let us know in the comments below if you agree. John Stokes, big up, mate. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Clean Planet says, Seth, yes, Tell over Son 100%. All sorts going on in terms of the Morgan Gibbs-White deal, but not much to update you guys on. The latest, if you have joined, is that there are, well, Forest are trying to put some legal action on the illegal approach of Morgan Gibbs-White. Apparently, they think it's illegal. I think the only thing illegal is the Nottingham Forest owner shouldn't be an owner, and he's actually lost the complete plot. We are still going to get Morgan Gibbs-White. There's people asking in the chat, is the deal going to fall through? Well, as per a lot of journalists, including Fabrizio Romano and others, we will still get Morgan Gibbs-White, but it may take a little bit more longer than we thought. Kudus is announced. I think we should turn our attention to potentially a number 6 coming in at Tottenham Hotspur. But guys, what a live stream. I can't believe it. Still 400 of you watching live. I have to say thank you so much again on behalf of SpursRelated and Frank as well. We have absolutely loved this one. We were only going to do 40-minute live stream, but because of the numbers, we decided to give you a 2-hour absolute marathon, absolute film. So before you do click off, if you do want to watch us again tomorrow, turn on the notification bell, subscribe if you are new, so you will never miss us going live again. Like the video. There's 8,000 people that have watched this video. It's literally blown my mind today. I can't believe what's happened I don't know how it's happened, but I'm very grateful for it. So I'd love to see all of you again tomorrow around the same time again, but turn the notification bell on so you will never miss us going live, and turn the notification bell on to never miss a video. And we did a Morgan Gibbs-White video earlier of how he will fit into the Thomas Frank system. So this similar style where we're doing the tactical analysis with the board, you guys seem to enjoy it. So go over after this one and watch that 20-minute video. It's not 2 hours, it's 20 minutes. Let me know your thoughts. I'll reply to all the comments. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash the noti bell. I'm going to keep saying it, the noti bell. Ring, ring. Put ring, ring in the comments if you're still here and you've rung those bells. Frank, thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed it, mate. It's been good, hasn't it?
It's been a pleasure. I want to just point out there was a comment asking for my Twitter. Or X, whatever it is now. It's Frankie J. Thomas 1 for I think it was John Stokes that said it. So
there we go. Frankie J. Thomas 1. There we go. Go and check out Frank on Twitter as well. There is his @ I've just popped it in the chat. Subscribe, like, noti bell, ring, ring, ring. Thank you for all the support. Really, absolutely am overwhelmed. Really appreciate it. Hopefully see you guys tomorrow when you get that notification through on your phone or on your laptop. Ring, ring, says Ernie. Absolutely love it with your Tottenham playing. And as always, guys, remember, come on, you Spurs. Get some signings done. Appreciate you all. See you soon.